Okay. Good evening. It's Monday, June 22nd, and I'm calling to order the meeting of the Public Safety Committee. And I have with me tonight Jim Leahy, Vice Chair, Counselor at Large, Howie Greeny, Counselor at Large, and I'm Linda Vacan, Chair from Ward 5. So,
I make a motion we take out of order item number 4.
do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. So we're going to move out of order to take up, wait, we want item 3.
This is most current.
Oh, they changed it? Oh, okay. So item 4, which I'll read into the record, was filed by Counselor Leahy, ordered that the Superintendent of Public Schools, Commissioner Chester, and the Chief of Police Department come before the Public Safety Committee. The topic that will be addressed is truancy in our public schools. The city's public schools were put into receivership because of test scores. It's unfair to blame it on the teachers. The truancy rate is unacceptable. Please be ready to discuss this and what the next steps are to decrease this statistic. So in the interest of having all of the information before the committee, which so far we do not have, I'm going to turn this over to the maker of the order. The intention tonight will be to table it for more information, but we don't want to do that until we have an opportunity to accept it, okay?
Yeah, hi, thank you. This was, the reason I filed this order is because of the amount of teachers I was talking to and the fact that, they can only do so much when children aren't there. And when they're teaching to empty seats, then the children do come in during test days, and it's not fair to the children, it's not fair to the teachers, it's not really fair to anyone. So I wanted to find out exactly what we're doing to prevent truancy. I know as a child, when I was younger, we always had the fear that we were going to get in trouble by the truant officer. Not seeing the police department here, I'm not sure where that stands. If we still have a truant officer, I'd be willing to bet that we don't. But as was reported on Facebook today, this isn't a punitive type of thing. This isn't something I'm looking forward to getting, deeming children criminals. I'm deeming trying to get children to get into the seats. Reading one of the statutes or one of the bylaws that the school department has, I think each child is required to attend 92% of the school year, which I believe is 14 days, or subtract 180 from 14 days. They're allowed to miss 14 days, but there's also different circumstances where they have to, parents get notified, different agencies get notified, and I just wanted to see if these protocols are being adhered to. I contacted 3 different school committee members for information, and in bits and pieces it's coming through, but I don't have everything yet. That's why I'm asking this to be tabled. However, we do have representatives from the school here, so I'd like to invite them in and see exactly what they have for us.
Sure.
Make a quick comment?
Sure, you can come on in, folks, thank you. And there should be a microphone, and if you press the bar and the green light comes on, then if there are people watching at home, they can hear you as well. So, Counselor Greeny?
Yeah, just a quick comment on Council Leahy's order here. Just having spent some time in the public schools, like 35 years, if a student misses 18 days a year, in 10 years, by the time they're a sophomore in high school, they've already missed an entire school year. So they're legitimately not really a sophomore. They've missed all that time. So it is critical that these children are in their seats for the learning process.
Thank you. Can you just let me know your names and the right spelling for my purposes?
My name is Lynn LaJoie, LYNNLAJOIE.
More importantly, Bob Roan's daughter.
Okay, thank you.
Assistant Director of Student Services.
Okay,
And Dr. Pius could not be here tonight because he's at the budget hearing.
right, I know there was another meeting going on. Thank you.
Essentially tabling it.
Yes,
Tina Roy is the Director of Student Services.
yes,
Essentially tabling it.
yes. Why keep people running around for, when it's not necessary?
Gail Shattuck, GailShattuck,
Okay.
and I'm the Information System Specialist for the district and a member of the Attending for Literacy Committee.
Thank you for bearing with me. So I understand that you have some information that you'd just like to let us receive, and if you want to give a brief summary of it, that would be,
Yeah, I'll tell you, we have a summary of our attendance work.
okay.
We also have our attendance procedures, and also for filing for a child requesting assistance submission. And we have that all outlined for you about how many, when we file for that, and how many unexcused absences.
Okay.
All for you. We also have what we would put into a child requesting assistance, all the paperwork. We also have attendance meetings
Oh, okay.
with the schools, and so we have the information on what we do with our weekly attendance meetings.
Oh, excellent,
And
thanks.
we also have data from 2012 till now, and actually our attendance has improved, so we have that.
Okay. Okay, that is perfect.
And if there's anything else, you can contact
Yeah.
me directly or Gail.
And I would just like to give the members of the committee the opportunity, if they have any other questions besides what you're including in the packet, that they might want to put out there, so that nobody's surprised when we take it up at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. So what is the percentage of absent, so over so you have since 2012 to 15th, what percentage of children are absent more than, the required 14, or the acceptable 14 days?
We do have chronic absence data, but we don't have it with us today.
Okay, so no, for our next meeting, is that something you can?
Absolutely.
And maybe even, can you get that for like the 10-year span? I like to look at trends for 10 years.
Yes.
5 and 10 years.
Yes, I could do that.
And one of the things that was mentioned on Facebook today, that was, there was some sort of protocol written for a non-punitive response to, but that's, my understanding, that's only kindergarten to third grade, from what I read.
The non-punitive? Would you be able to speak to that, Lynn? I mean, I think it's the same. K to 8, and then it's different for 9 to 12, but it's the same for K to 8.
Okay. And am I right by saying they're supposed to be, or they have to be attending at least 92% of the calendar year?
I believe it's 90%.
90%?
90%.
Comes down to 14 days?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, 18 days.
Oh, it's 18 days? Mm-hmm. Oh, I see, okay. All right, so I'll have to read that. Now, do you guys know, is there a truant officer?
We do have an attendance officer that works for the district, and he also works directly with an outreach worker in each one of our buildings. And they do home visits, and they do outreach with parents, and they have meetings, weekly meetings at the schools.
And that happens, after 3 times of from what I was reading off your website earlier today, from my understanding is if a child misses 3 days, that's not excused, they would have a meeting set up with the parents?
The outreach worker phones the parents, and the phone call is documented, and a 3-day letter is sent out to them.
Yeah, and that is happening?
Yes.
That is happening, and then you will see, when we have the attendance officer, he also attends the weekly meetings with schools,
Okay,
and so you'll see here,
You'll see here the weekly attendance meeting, what happens. And
okay.
their concerns, they go over their concerns. They do home visits with the outreach worker and Edgar. But we don't have the truant officer that we had ages ago that kind
Okay.
of would drive around
Right.
and pick up the kids.
All right,
That hasn't been happening in.
No, but we do run a chronic absence report every month that goes out to the schools. And keep in mind that by chronic, we mean students that are absent 10% or more. So it's not necessarily a number because of our mobility. That could be absent 3 times if they've only been here, for so many days. So it's based entirely on their percentage of absence. So it's not so much a number because of our mobility. We have students that might be here 180 days a year, then we have some that are here 80 days. So it's based on that.
And that's when you're talking about transient kids, right?
Exactly.
Children that are coming and going. See, I mean, I'm sure you've heard the same frustration I've heard from all these teachers saying, sometimes I have a room that I don't have enough desks, then other times I have a room that I only have 3 desks filled. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, I'm getting MCAS tested, and 12 more kids come in, and they haven't had any units that they went over. So this is the reason that I'd filed the order. I'm just trying to make sure that this attendance is increased. From the meetings that I went to with the state, I can't quote any numbers because I don't have it in front of me, but they're saying 20 to 40% students have, absent, they're more absent than 10 times per year. Does that sound right?
That's possible. But I would say that if you take a look at our website, we do have some attendance videos. We've been working really hard on getting the attendance better, so we do have attendance videos that are right on our website that you can see.
Yeah, but
And there are some actually done by our students. We have some done by our students to help reach out to those parents and students.
And we have attendance initiatives every, well, actually, some of the schools might do it, monthly, and then we had a big attendance for the month of March, for the MCAS for the kids that were in. We did a skating party for the K-8. So there's all different attendance initiatives, going on in the schools. We realize how important that is, and we are trying really hard. And I think in the past 2 years alone, you can see the attendance has gotten better.
Okay, so, but that kind of concerns me because I don't think the website and what you're saying to me, like I have the policy right here, and it's telling me that it's 14 days, and you're saying 18 days. And so that's, 4 additional days. So has that been changed?
Would you, let's see, should be filed around 12 to 14 days.
I'm reading from the Code of Conduct and Discipline Policy, the student handbook.
Is that the high school level or the elementary?
It's a Holyoke Public Schools.
Just as Holyoke Public Schools?
Yeah, this was emailed over to me earlier this morning, and I don't see a date on it. But maybe for the next
You
meeting,
have to
we
look
can
at
go
it,
over.
yeah. Because it's hard, because
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're looking apples to apples.
right, because I have it right here, but.
All right, thank you.
Quickly, I have a question.
Counselor Greenie?
Lynn, there are no punitive measures that are taken for anybody that violates the attendance code, though, are there?
No, I mean.
Including parents or students?
Well, they meet with the parents all the time, you know what I mean, when the children are out, and you can, I wish I had copies so you could see the same thing that I'm reading to you. And they do meet with the parents, but then eventually, they will file a CRA, and that gets kind of court involved with the students and the
Yeah,
parents. So the
that's-
parents will have to appear in court, to Paula Bajian.
But for chronic offenders, that really doesn't get the student back into school, does it?
I'm sorry, I just couldn't hear you. What?
For chronic offenders, that really doesn't get the kids back into school, does it?
For
Sometimes?
some, yeah, for some it does. And, we hope not to get to that level. We try and get them back in and try and do as much. Maybe some of them might be missing some services. We try and hook them up with services if there's, something going on in the home, and that's why, they haven't been in school. So
Yeah, the reason.
there's a lot of issues
Of course, one of the
deal with.
reasons that the council is concerned is now with the state takeover, et cetera, all this stuff, and these statistics that have been thrown down our throat from the state, we're trying to differentiate which ones are actual factual,
Right.
which ones have been loaded, et cetera, and also that, our teachers do a heck of a job. They do a wonderful
Absolutely.
job in this city, have done so for many, many years, and I just hate to see them as bearing the brunt of this. And when you get 100 layoffs like we did last week, now that puts a burden on the city because we're going to be liable for unemployment compensation and all those other different little things that go with it. And quite frankly, we don't have the cash. We don't have the dough. So we're concerned about it, and we're concerned about the state takeover.
I can tell you that about 2 years ago, we started using Attendance Works, which is a nationwide program to help improve attendance. And since that time, in 2012 to 2013, we had a total of 63,397 unexcused absences. Currently, this year, it was 53,847, so that's a drop of 9,550 attendance days, so that we bettered, that we have those many children sitting in the seats.
Right.
That's I think for just 2 years in a program, I think that shows a really
That's
nice
huge.
Now,
improvement.
how are suspension rates and so on and so forth folded into that data?
This is unexcused absences, so I didn't include suspensions, but I can tell you that our suspension days have dropped as well, and I can provide that data as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
we could
thank you.
email that to you if you want.
What are they doing to drop that 9,000? What's this company doing that we can't do?
Well, no, the company offers tools to districts at no charge, so we're utilizing those tools, but it's not something that they're doing. It's that same thing that I said about having the public service announcements on our website, having these attendance meetings, kind of changing the way that we were utilizing our attendance officer and our outreach workers, and we're working on that even more. because one of the things that we found is sometimes outreach workers are pulled to do clerical duties instead, so that's something that we're going to be working with the principals with. So it's definitely a work in progress, but there's just been some really posters, working with different communities, attending for literacy. We work with different agencies to help get the word out. We had Dr. Abrams in there talking about students that have asthma, if we can get them on an asthma plan so they can be in school instead of being out, even though that's an excused absence, it's still an absence. So those are the kinds of things that we've been working on.
Yeah, and I think Kelly School's walking school bus has been really successful too, and we're hoping to maybe start that at Lawrence School. That's a K-3, and a lot of times, you know, the younger ones miss more school because they're, you know, the parents, they're still kind of babies. So if they've got a little sniffle or a cold, or if they can't get them out, sometimes the parents don't have transportation and it's cold out, they don't want to walk them. I think the walking school bus would work really well at Lawrence School as well, because we'll go around and pick up the kids and they can walk safely.
Okay, so I would just like to summarize, and I'm going to turn the mic over to Counselor Bresnahan, who has joined us for our meeting tonight. So the questions that we have are the trends on attendance, the update to the website, or whichever is correct relative to the numbers. If you could include the suspension rates, and then maybe you already have it in your information, an outline of what that attendance works program is. Is that in the information that you're already giving us?
Yeah. No.
In essence?
Yeah, but we can get that
But,
to you.
okay, so just so that you have an idea of what we're looking for, and then if somebody thinks of something else, if you'd be open to our administrative assistant sending an email.
Absolutely, yeah, no
And
problem.
in the meantime, then we'll look over the information you're bringing, so
absolutely.
we won't be asking you every single thing that you already have in the packet. So, thank you. Councilor Bresnahan?
Obviously, there's always that elephant in the room. I mean, what we're facing in Holyoke is a problem and has been for years. I mean, the school systems are troubled. The kids having kids plays a part in that. You know, the teenage pregnancy rate, obviously. I work for the Springfield Housing Authority, and I manage 600 units of low-income housing. I've probably got about 1,000 kids under the age of 18. We've actually physically started a program called Talk, Read, Succeed, TRS, that maybe perhaps reach, because we're trying to take the books to the home, you know, and teach the parents how to read. Because a lot of that is, there's that whole piece. I mean, you talked about tools, which, I mean, the tools you have, I just don't think are capable of the problems that we have with the illiteracy and the children having children and the children. I mean, so I commend your efforts, but we have to we literally almost have to take the schools to the homes. I mean, and not that we don't want to get into that habit of doing that, and we don't want to make it any easier for people to, you know, make their way through life without being contributing members of society, so to speak. But I mean, you guys have a daunting task, and I don't know that the state's going to do anything. And I mean, and the teachers, I mean, it's just, we're if you look at the state, I mean, they just said tonight, I just heard tonight, that the city of Holyoke is the second unsafest community in the state of Massachusetts. So I mean, we continue to get these disparaging statistics, which I've never been a fan of. But I mean, it's just, I commend you for your efforts, and I just think that if we try to perhaps think about making programs, like they have a Boys and Girls Club up at the Jackson Parkway, Holyoke Housing Authority. Well, I got to tell you, that's where all the kids are, you know. And I personally have seen the success of a Talk, Read, Succeed program in the city of Springfield, where, you know, I manage 600 units and there's, you know, 1,000 kids under the age of 18. That the books are there, and we're bringing it into their homes. I mean, it might be something to reach out to Matty Manville and just say, hey, Matt, you got Lyman Terrace. I mean, there's plenty of low-income housing places that we could probably reach out and maybe do
Right,
something
yeah,
there.
and they partner with us.
And are you familiar with the Helly Initiative?
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Holyoke Early Literacy? So I think that they're doing a lot of that sort of thing that you're talking about. I think
Outreaching to the parents, providing books, a lot of literacy skills. They'll meet them in their home, or if they're not comfortable meeting in the home, then, you know, they'll have an alternative place, either at the school or even, you know, someplace for coffee and sit and talk and go over different things that they can do with their kids.
It's unfortunate that we have to, I mean, I went to the Holyoke Public Schools this year. It's unfortunate that we have to do that, get the school system to actually get into the homes. But I think that is
It's a reality.
It
It's
is
a
a
reality,
reality,
and-
and it's something we have
yeah.
that we have to do. And
I would say in the past few years, we have been working really, really hard on the attendance. We obviously know it's a problem. I mean, we are working hard and we're trying to improve it. We reflect back, okay, for next year, this is what we're going to do. Like the outreach workers never used to meet. They meet bi-weekly now as a group, and I'm with them as well as Edgar to try and, better their practice of what they can do and how can we reach more parents and get the kids back into school. And like I said, the schools are doing initiatives, we're doing initiatives, we're, working and, but we are also open for suggestions and we reflect back and what can we do next year to get them, more motivated to get them back into school, so.
Great. Well, thank you for bringing down that information, and so that we
Sure.
can
If
copy.
anything else, just
we
email
can-
and we'll
We
get
can
it to you.
copy this to all of the members so that we'll be better informed for the next meeting that we have on this.
Have the data in the back, but this is kind of the procedures.
Yep.
And then there's, when we do file a CRA, there's some information on that as well.
Yeah, but just to summarize, it sounds like generally your approach is more assistance initially to try to help the people overcome whatever barriers they have, and then only after that do you go into the enforcement
Right,
sort
we-
of
right.
side of things, which
Right, we
to
don't-
me
we're not-
sounds like a student-friendly program.
Exactly. We don't want to
Family-friendly.
get our children court involved, you know what I mean? But we're just
Right.
trying to get them with the parents to help them, to get them to school when it gets to that extreme.
Right, and.
But we try everything else first.
Counselor Greeni's in the queue?
Yeah, just quickly, we've had state involvement indirectly for 6 years already. They knew about the Hampshire Collaborative that came in for 3 years when the schools were level 4 schools, and then Project Grad for 3 years. So it's not that the state hasn't been involved in this process. They're as much a part of the process as the Holyoke Public Schools are, because these organizations were basically a result of the state mandates that have come down from Boston. So, our local people, like I say, we've done a great job for a long time under very difficult circumstances, and I know the problems that you're facing on a day-to-day basis, and it is daunting, like Counselor Bresnan said.
Thank you.
Beginning of September.
Counselor Leahy?
Yeah, so as I said, our administrative assistant did reach out to the police department and also to Chester as well, and I don't think that he got a response from Chester. However, I believe he got a response from the police department. So I'm going to make a motion that we table this until maybe the end of August or the beginning of September. And if you could just get those responses
Sure,
for
absolutely.
her.
Absolutely.
That sound like a reasonable timeframe?
Yes, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And anything else, just email us if you can think of
All right, thank you so much for coming
something
down
else.
here.
You're so welcome. We all set?
Yeah, you're good.
Motion? All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Thank you.
have a good night now, thank you.
Thank you very much. So can we go, you can have them. You don't want a mic? Okay, I'll remember that. Okay, I'll accept a motion in regular order.
I'll make a motion, we can start item 1.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so we're taking up item 1 that was filed by me, Counselor Bacon. Ordered that County Road be evaluated for elimination of the passing zones as they encourage an increased rate of speed by drivers. And I see we have Matt here tonight. Do you want to come on in? Is that easier? Okay.
Come on down.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate you waiting. Oh, that's better.
Okay.
So, I guess we'll just hear from you if you've had an opportunity to either think about that, or you just already know about it, or what opinion, or,
I was just kind of waiting to hear what the issue was. If
Oh,
you had
okay.
A particular area, or if it was the whole section, or what you're hearing from people.
oh,
So I could
okay.
probably look-
So what happens on that road is you have passing zones at the end of side streets. You also have a passing zone, and I'm not good with space, distances, but you know where the stop sign is at Southampton Road and County?
Yes.
There is a passing zone. I want to say it ends about 3 car lengths before the stop sign.
Oh, really?
I mean,
Yeah.
the passing zone goes, and I might not be totally correct about that, but
He's gonna pull it up on his little.
But the sense is that the passing zone ends much more closely to the stop sign than
Yep.
would be good. What happens on the other end is because you've had more building in Southampton, so you've got side streets off on both sides of county now.
Yep.
So you've got people in passing zones, so you're coming out of a side street and there could be two cars coming at you because somebody's passing and they're going at least 45, if not 50 miles an hour to pass somebody going 35 on the road. And I don't think I have ever seen anybody going under 35 on that road. I'd say the average speed is 40. And so what you're getting is people passing in the passing lane, they've got to be going 50, 55. And now you're near the side streets, the park. And I'm just not, I guess the question is, what purpose is it serving to have a passing zone there? And the complaints about speeding come to me at every single meeting I hold in Ward 5, from Mountain Road, County Road, 202. It's sort of like, you know, County Road's the warm-up road, 202 is the racing strip. I mean, it's insane out there. I'm surprised anybody still even tries to take a left off of Apremont Highway. But this question, there's no passing zones on 202. Or I don't think Apremont either. But on County there are. I think it's sort of from the old days when it was sort of the main road.
Yep.
You know, so I think it's perhaps outlived its usefulness.
Well, I can review those locations and the passing lanes, you know, taking into account those concerns that you brought up.
All right. And it needs painting anyway, so I say just make it solid.
Maybe what we
But
should do
anyway.
is just table this and have them look at it and come back
Yeah.
to us maybe in a month's time with
Okay.
recommendations.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll make a
But
motion.
does that make sense to you? Do you have any other questions
Yeah,
about
if
the
things
context?
have changed out there since the original pavement marking plan was
Yeah.
established, then it's worth taking a second look at it to see if it still makes sense the way it's laid out, and to see if there's any changes that need to be done to, you know, reduce the length of passing lanes or eliminate them altogether if possible. One question I would have to do is, to research would be, if they're required by state law, I just need to double check with that.
Well, and the other thing that may complicate it is on the split of Holyoke and Southampton, Holyoke and Westfield,
Right.
down that road.
So I'd have to
So
talk
that may
with those two
complicate it.
towns too as well to see what their thoughts are on it as well, and then,
I know, I can tell you that they have a heavy police presence on county,
those towns.
Southampton in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, having a passing zone so close to a stop sign doesn't make sense just off the top of my head here, so.
Can you see?
I
can
couldn't see it, the trees were too thick in that area,
Oh,
so,
okay. Because I'm not good with distance, but it seems close.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that. So I'll accept a motion to table till,
Just a quick question, Matt, while you're here.
Yep.
The stop sign in County Road, there's one that has a blinking stop sign, but as you come the other way, it's not a blinking stop sign. I don't understand the rationale there.
Where's this?
they're solar powered.
Oh, they may be in another town.
And I think the battery died. It's Southampton.
Southampton.
Southampton may have installed them.
Turns into, I guess it eventually turns into Line Road, which is East Hampton, I guess, is that?
Yeah. You know, going up to Bashista? It's
Bashista,
coming
right.
down from Bashista and coming in from East Hampton.
Oh, they have the flashing,
They're solar powered.
solar powered ones.
I think
But
the
it's
battery
not
died.
on the other, was that it?
Well, it could be
who's
this,
responsible for that? It's on the Southampton side
The
of the road.
town that puts it up.
Oh, okay.
right, whatever town the stop sign is in would be the town's
Could
responsibility.
be in Southampton.
It is a nice concept, except when they don't work.
Can you call them up over there? I'll stop them up, tell them to put a battery in there,
Yeah, sure.
Do they have batteries and things?
phone call.
So did you make the motion?
Yeah, make a
to
motion, we
it?
table it for, till our next meeting.
All in favor?
All right.
So I'll accept a motion to take up item 2.
Make a motion to take up item number 2 off the table.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 2 is filed by Counselor McGee, ordered that the city engineer study the intersection of Magnolia and Mackenzie and determine if a stop sign, yield sign, or other appropriate traffic sign be installed to address the traffic issues in the area. Now, I don't know if you've had a chance to look into this one.
Yeah, that's been an ongoing kind of concern in that area too, with the way the roads curve and it goes down the hill, and there's some shrubs there.
Yeah,
It's kind of confusing when you come up onto Mackenzie.
it's fast too.
Yeah, and it's fast. So, I was thinking of just proposing some additional signage there. Maybe a stop sign on the opposite side of the one
Okay.
that's there now, and then maybe a stop ahead. I think we did have some intersection ahead signs further up on Portland. So I could take a look at those and see if I want to add any more of those.
So would it be fair to say that you're recommending a stop sign on, did you say the Mackenzie side?
Portland, at Mackenzie.
There's a stop sign there coming down now already,
Yeah,
Matt. From the
that's-
hospital, if you come down, there's a
I
stop
was thinking of
sign
one across the
Excellent.
street from that one.
coming the other way.
Coming the same way, so you'd have one on both sides. So if you're coming to that intersection, the one on the right's hard to see because it's behind shrubs and it's around that bend. So if you have it on the left side too as well.
So add a stop sign to the left side of Mackenzie? Would that be the way to, Portland?
Yep. And review the advanced warning signs to see if additional signs are needed.
So it seems that if you're making this recommendation and it doesn't require a separate ordinance to implement it,
Nope.
right? It can just be done. Mm-hmm. So it seems like a motion that it's complied with
Second.
would be in order? You're making the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you on that one, Matt. A motion to take up item 3.
So moved.
All in favor? Item 3 was filed by me. Counselor Vacan ordered that an evaluation and steps to improve the safety and traffic flow of the intersection of Lower Westfield Road, Holy Family Road, and the entrances to the Old Geriatric Authority and the congregate housing be completed in light of the mayor's approval of a license for the Western Mass Correctional Alcohol Center. According to the website, the program will house 164 men and 18 women. And when the sheriff did come into the public meeting, he did also talk about how there will be increased traffic, particularly at the bus stop, relative to people coming in to visit at the set times that people can access that site. And so there were a number of people at the public meeting that said it's already been a problematic intersection before this increase. And of course, before the Geriatric Authority closed, it was much limited in its number of residents and traffic going in and out. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look at this at all, or if you just,
Is it pedestrian traffic or car traffic that they're worried?
I'm sorry?
You said it was a bus-related traffic? Is it people getting off the bus that are
the
walking
issue is
there?
really the traffic.
Cars?
The cars and the buses, more than pedestrian traffic. That just came up as a, also.
Well, we did change that from I think it was a two-way stop before. So you'd stop on Holy Family and you'd stop coming out of the geriatric facility. We changed it to a four-way stop. That was been like that for quite a while now.
Is there anything else that can be done down there?
Well, I'd have to take a look and see if there's any accident history or if there's anything that's
Okay, that would
that
warrant it?
that would warrant some sort of improvements. I mean, I don't really know what's going on there, if there are angle crashes or if there's a record of crashes even occurring there at all. Four-way stop is probably the most drastic thing we could do there.
Yeah.
So maybe we could look at painting the lines, the stop bars,
Or
making sure
doing the advance
advanced stop
thing,
signs.
maybe, because you've got that sort of awkward thing where you're coming up the bridge and then stopping there.
Yeah,
And there's just so many driveways. It's sort of like near the mall with the
Right, you
gas
could have some-
station, you know?
an advanced intersection ahead sign type sign or a stop ahead sign, something like that might help with that.
But I mean, it was just an issue that the people brought up.
Yep.
I'm not sure I have all of the exact concerns that they had.
Are there any, I mean, the information on the number of people there, are they driving there or are they, I mean, is that
The people that will
relevant to
be staying there as part of the program, but the program itself is going to have the people going here and there each day. And then there's going to be visitors going into the people whenever those are allowed. So there's going to be a lot it seemed like there was going to be a lot more traffic on an already problematic intersection.
Right.
And I mean, even if a safety recommendation was that congregate and the geriatric for the program don't have a separate driveway. Do you know what I mean? Because they both
share that
come
one
out.
driveway.
I don't know.
All right, well,
But I mean, I'm not really sure how much the congregate is putting into it.
I can look at the existing pavement stripings, consider signs, and,
Four,
but
right?
yeah. Well, it includes a driveway.
There'll be a cruiser hanging on by the old geriatric entrance.
Yeah, there's a stop sign there too.
He's busting people that are going through the stop sign.
Yep.
It's a three-way, right?
Well, I counted the geriatric driveway as a stop too, so, yeah, it's basically a three-way.
So you got Holy Family,
Stop sign there
Well, unless it's missing.
though. Come over the bridge,
Yep,
right?
yep,
You got a stop sign. You're coming from Devonshire, you got a stop sign.
Yes.
You're coming from the Holyoke Mall, you got a stop sign.
yes.
right.
So you got 3 stop signs.
And there should be one in the driveway, but you said it's missing, or
I
it's
don't
not there?
think there is one there.
There isn't one there.
So if it's just a matter of replacing it, that's
Yeah,
easy.
we can put the driveway sign back up.
So there should be
I
a
don't know why
stop
it's not
sign
there.
there already.
There should have been, yeah.
Matter of getting the stop sign put back up,
Yeah, if
and,
the stop sign's there, we'll have to put that back up
and if you're gonna do the lines,
and refresh the lines, and we'll look at stop ahead signs if they're needed.
so if you're gonna do that, sort of like the previous order, then if we consider it complied with and we know that you'll go ahead and take care of it,
Yep.
all right. Counselor Green?
Yeah, quickly, Matt, once again, while you're here, I was gonna file an ordinance at the next meeting regarding the situation at Ashley Road and 202. There have been quite a few, I'd say 3 or 4 serious accidents in the past 4 or 5 months up there. Some of the residents had talked to me about it. It's right outside where Jack Doyle Drive is now. Ashley Road, Sunset Road. Apparently, people are cutting off to go into the mall, coming both ways to avoid traffic. If you could just look into it, check what the police department reports. I'm sure there's several traffic accidents out there. I don't know what can be done about it, if anything, because
Is this at the new signal?
This is the new,
before the new signal.
well,
Yeah.
what's contributing up there is you have people parking on 202 all the time
Right.
to go into the reservoir, which technically is illegal. I've had people complaining about that because they're parking, well, they're off the road, but it's been a practice that's been going on for a long time, but I think it's complicated now by the fact that there's a light there.
And some of the visibility when they're parked off the road as they're coming out of Ashley Road, they can't see traffic coming down from 202, coming down 202, but there's been several accidents there,
But I did just have a citizens forum, you know, and that was on the agenda. You know, what conditions have occurred based on the new light? Are more people cutting through or this or that? And there really wasn't anything brought forth. And usually those folks will come out if they've been complaining about people cutting through for a while, though.
Yeah.
So the concern was with the new light, it might get worse. But I'm kind of paying attention to that, and I can coordinate with Howie, and if we need to file an order, we will in that regard. But on this one, if you're set to go ahead and with the lines and the sign, I'll accept an order that it's, a motion that it's complied with.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Was there anything else for Matt? Hang on one second. Items 7 and 8, I think these are just cleanup items because, so can we take up item 7?
So I make a motion to take up item number 7.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So item 7 was filed by Counselor Bartley, ordered that DPW and United Water ensure the drainage system near 207 Fairmont Street can handle the water runoff capacity and take any corrective measures necessary. Recent storms have flooded residents' home and backyard with water pouring into his property from the street. Now, there was one of these, it was either item 7 or item 8, where a stormwater cover had been replaced, but it was put on the wrong street. And so Bill was in and he said we had to move it to the right street, so we just kept it in the jacket to be sure that it was on the right one.
Okay.
So, do you know? by any chance?
On this one? Well, we did recently replace the catch basins in that area with new Connecticut-style catch basins, which allow more water to flow into them.
Okay,
Typically, the drainage system is designed to handle the drainage in the road.
right.
So whatever comes down the hill from top of the road to the low point there at 207. For certain size storms would fit into that catch basin or those catch basins and be handled. But when we get large storms that are larger than the design capacity of those catch basins, say from water from other paved areas adjacent to the road, the system becomes overwhelmed. We can't handle designing systems for 100-year storms or 50-year storms. So in those occasions where there's water that just exceeds the capacity of the system, you do get some nuisance ponding in that location, and water does flow where it goes, sees the low point, so wherever it ends up, it ends up. In order for the city to handle all potential storm options there, we'd have to really upsize the piping system all the way down to where it discharges down by Bray Park, which is a pretty significant investment for the city to undertake for one location, so.
So would it be fair to say that, based on what we're doing throughout the city, that at this point for the 207 Fairmont, that the stormwater drainage has been updated to the standard of the city?
Well, it's updated to handle the road, the
To
water
handle,
in the roadway. I mean,
okay.
additional water that comes from other sources, may over.
Okay. So on this one, this has been before us a couple of times. We had last had it before us and tabled it for 30 days, just to be sure that what had been done, what could be done, had been done. So I'll accept a motion that it's complied with at this
Make a
point.
motion, it's been complied with.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that's complied with 4-0. I'll accept a motion to take up item 8.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So item 8 was filed by Counselor McGee, ordered that the DPW and United Water look into the catch basin drainage issues at the corner of Woods Ave and Francis Ave. During heavy rain, water enters several residences on Woods Avenue. Now, this one, I had a note that we had tabled it to be sure that the grate was placed on the correct catch basin because
Right.
it was over a block. That's
Oh, I
this
see.
one.
Yeah, our plan was to replace the existing catch basin covers at that intersection of Woods and Francis with catch basins that are sort of had like a louvered kind of look to them, so that
Yeah.
they would be capable of collecting more water from the street. So
So it'd be more effective?
more effective.
Okay.
It's either done or it's slated to be done.
Well, what we understood from Bill is it had been placed, the cover had been placed, but it had been placed on the next street over.
Oh, I
And
see.
at the time that he was here, it just hadn't been moved back yet,
Yep.
but that was the intention, to put it where it had
Yeah, the
originally.
intent is to replace the catch basins at that location with the new louvered covers.
Yeah. Yeah, so at this point, you don't know if the one got put at,
Well, we've looked
Woods.
into the catch basin drainage issues, and we've made a recommendation, and our plan is to replace those structures.
right, but that,
Again, what Linda's saying is that they put the catch basin, the louver catch basin was put on
Apparently, it was
Florence Avenue and not Woods Avenue.
and that was what was gonna fix the problem to help the water flow in better. So it was, what we need to know, and I think we will have to table it, but if you could just send an email to Ryan
sure
and the safety committee,
when it's done.
letting us know that that cover is at that intersection, then we can call this complied with. Right. All right?
Will do.
So if you can just confirm that, I think it is done, because it was just a matter of moving it from one location to another, but if you could just confirm it by email, then we'll,
Move that we complied with the receipt of the
I'll
correspondence.
second that.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. And I think that does it. So if it's okay, Matt, and you could get us that email by Tuesday,
Sure.
then we can just know we're done and that it's all set?
I could probably text him right now and find out if you wanted me to. Or
Yeah,
just-
if you see it and just tell us it's there.
All right.
I just haven't had a chance to look, and I'm not sure I'd know the difference.
On my way home, I'll drive by there.
All right.
You got it.
I make a motion, we take item number 5 off the table.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Matt.
Have a good night.
So item 5 is an order filed by Counselor Soto that the Board of Health come before the City Council to discuss its plans to deal with opioid drug use in the City of Holyoke, including prevention and treatment programs and coordination with other agencies and institutions. Brian, you want to come on in? Now, I'm sorry? Oh, sure.
It's very similar to the order I filed some time ago.
Yes, it is.
Very similar to the order that I filed some time ago.
But there also is another,
Component.
well, there's another order where the other people came in and he didn't, so. So thanks for coming in, and congratulations on an improved ability to move around without pain. So welcome back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's about time.
So I do recall that a number of months ago that you had come in and talked about, I think at that point it was specifically the Narcan. And so, of course, now we're hearing more and more news about, the increased, I think, deaths due to really the nasty drugs that are out there that are like, 10, 20 times the potency of what was typically out there. And so, Counselor Soto, I guess I'm speculating on his intent, was just interested, I guess, to know if there are any new treatment programs available to people, because, people are talking a lot about, well, the enforcement is circular, they go in the jail, they get out of the jail, and a move toward more treatment-focused interventions. And so I think it was just to see if there are any new alternatives relative to prevention and treatment that we can bring to bear here in Holyoke. Is your mic on?
Oh, I thought it was on. Sorry. We don't focus on that in the Board of Health. I mean, a little bit. They're talking about opiate use. It's the heroin that's killing the kids. It's not the opiate. It's not the pills. And I hope people are aware of that. And another reason for it, I don't think people are aware of. Over the past 20 years, 3/4 of our detoxes and rehabs have shut down. I know that because I did an internship up at Ward 4 at the VA a number of years ago, about 20-something, I'm not sure, 17 years ago maybe. And I know a lot of people that work in the field. That's why I know this. So the people they're going into detox, they're there for a few days, they're getting better, and they're coming out, and they're shooting the same amount of dope that they shot the day they got in there, and they're dying. That's where most of your deaths are coming from. It's not the pills.
And,
This is just information I know that from people that work in the field. And I
Nope.
know some of the kids that have died. And I
Yeah.
think we all know some of the kids that died.
Yeah, and I'm interested to hear you say that because I just read an article about it that cited a very small percentage of people that go from the prescription drugs to the street drugs. And to your point,
Well, the cost for a pill, I think, what I've been told is $40 for an oxycodone. I don't know if that's true or not, and you can buy a bag of heroin on the street, I'm told, for $6. And cheaper if you buy it by the bundle, and I don't know how many bags are in a bundle, but
right,
that's what's killing our kids.
right. So I thank you for that point. I think that's a good clarifying point. And other than that, in terms of, so we're clarifying the thing on the pill issue. So from that point of view, you're saying it's really not the issue. And
I can't confirm that, but I don't think it is.
It's more the street drugs
yeah.
and the heroin. But that's an important clarifying point. Counselor Bresnahan, did you want?
Yeah, I mean, real quick, is that obviously it's an epidemic throughout the country, Brian, as both of you know. And I mean, I think that, has Anthony Soto contacted you about this order? About his specifications of what his questions are? Because, I mean, obviously, you know what you're doing in that office, which is well beyond, I mean, that we don't have a lot of doctors working out of the office except for the folks that are on the board, right? I mean, an opiate addiction, I think, with all due respect to the two of you and everyone in the Board of Health, is a little bit out of your range. I mean, we can talk about picking up the needles on the street. We can talk about having informational brochures about Narcan and drug addiction. But the fact of the matter is that you guys are basically making it safe for me to take my children to McDonald's. I know it's bigger than that. In the tattoo parlors, in the nail salons, in the tanning salons, in the hockey rinks, and everything else that you got, in the nuisance complaints. That large, the catch basin for the city of Holyoke's complaints has, in my opinion, has been and always will be the Board of Health.
Thank you.
Police department might beat you up a little bit because they're getting the DV cases, but somebody's dog is barking too loud, they're calling the Board of Health. If somebody's got an unregistered car on their property, they're calling the Board of Health. I just think that, we need to kind of remain in focus of the duties of the Board of Health, and the Board of Health was set up back. We used to have the milk testing lab up there. I mean, that's what your purview of what you were doing was that. I mean, I think that had Anthony reached out to him or to you and just said, like, what's his direction on this? I mean, obviously, the Board of Health will not be able to contain the opiate addiction problem that we have.
But if I may, and I'm not going to speak for Counselor Soto either, and from my point of view, you've satisfied the question asked in the order, but I don't think it ever hurts in terms of prevention through the nursing aspect of the Board of Health to be giving out information to people that talks about if you only need a Tylenol, don't take an Oxy, and that you do. So,
People looking for help, we could send them all down High Street. We have about 50 different social service agencies
Right.
that deal with that type of stuff.
Right, and
that's
so-
what myself and the public health nurse talked about today.
right, and so if you're making those referrals to those people and you're educating the public in that regard, I think you should take credit that is part of prevention.
Actually, Anthony did call me, but he called me in another manner.
Okay.
And I asked him if he had read something about the deaths came up, and it was that morning that they had the 17th deaths for Holyoke, they had all Western Massachusetts. That's the only discussion we had.
Yeah.
Nothing about, I didn't know this was coming up.
Yeah, but from my point of view, I think if you're doing education and referral, that is a part of what you do, and that's a part of what you're doing. I mean, we can't have 5 people doing the same thing.
See, she's been looking into a grant that's tied into this, if you want to
Sure.
hear from Katie.
Sure.
That grant that you're looking for?
Yeah, there is a grant coming down from DPH.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. First of all, we are a collaborating member of MOPC, Massachusetts Opioid Abuse Prevention Collaborative. And we have a technical assistant who does data information.
Can you give me that acronym again, please?
MOPC is Massachusetts Opioid Abuse Prevention. That's private. It's MOAPC.
MOAPC.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have a TA who works with Springfield, Chicopee, and Holyoke. And she does most of our data inquiring and putting together the information on statistics. So we work closely with her. And the new grant that's coming from the DPH is actually looking for municipalities to take the lead. So we have been asked to take the lead. We haven't made that final decision because we don't know the entire ramifications of the grant.
Is that a board decision? I'm sorry, I want to interrupt you. Is that a board decision? Just in-house?
In-house.
Mostly they're in-house decisions. We do have several of the grants that work out of the Board of Health. So we oversee a mass emotion project, we oversee the municipal wellness project, we oversee teen pregnancy, the MRC, and there's one other. There's one other.
So just,
Indoor air quality.
so does that mean that the grant money comes into you and then you have to disperse it and track it and
Right,
to
we
other
would be the
programs?
We would be the fiscal agent in that respect, yes.
So you're taking on the overhead. Are they
The overhead.
giving you anything for taking on all that
Ever.
work?
In any grant, you can
Never.
take up to
Pardon?
15%. In any grant, you can take up to 15% for overhead or administrative costs.
Okay.
Are they giving you the bonds though?
Well, that's the catch. That's the catch. We would have to really be clear about the needs and how to meet them.
Right.
It's always a good idea to make sure that you can fulfill the needs of the grant before you apply.
Right.
And so for this particular grant, we know that there's other agencies coming to us and asking us to be the fiscal agent based on how this grant is written. We are members of MOPSI, so we may be disqualified already.
Oh, as a conflict
Right.
of some sort?
Right. So we do rely heavily for opioid education and prevention services on Tapestry Health and other community organizations. But Gandara did approach us for this particular project. So we'll have to see. I don't have.
Well, I could think of one I'd have you give up in favor of the other, but I think you all know that one. Because I'm not convinced that saved one person's life yet, giving out needles.
But if I may, I just don't want us to lose focus on, I mean, the grants are great, but again, the nuisance complaints,
Yeah.
the restaurants, the bars, the auto dealerships, the
I
auto
want
sales.
to thank you, Danny, for bringing that up. The umbrella that the Board of Health
Right.
is,
Right.
everything we're involved in.
Right,
And
so I
people
mean,
don't
let's-
realize
that's,
that.
That's not, I mean, I think the concept is a good concept. I don't want to see anybody ODing, but I mean, let's give the duties to the people that should be doing those types of things. I mean, we want to make sure that the streets are clean, the restaurants are clean, and it's safe to get a tattoo because they're using an autoclave to clean their materials.
Right.
We don't want to lose focus on what the Board of Health's intentions are.
Communicable and chronic disease prevention.
Right, and I'll give it back, I promise. So to that point, I mean, you know your internal abilities better than we do. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say everybody should go after every grant, because if it makes it to the point where you're not really accomplishing anything, then, or it's taking away from core
Yeah.
goals.
We've
can
got
only-
about as much as we can handle right now with the grants.
And,
Well, that's different.
All right, I make
If
a
you could
motion
just-
to be complied with.
Heck, we have no
It's
room.
not even here, so.
There's no room up there.
No,
We need an extra corner office.
before you were finished?
We got another one up here.
I'm sorry, you must have taken a big pause and I thought you were completed.
I just took a breath, just a breath, Linda.
seriously.
Just a breath.
Seriously.
No, I'm
On the
fine.
motion.
I'm only kidding.
Okay. All in favor? The motion is complied with 4-0. So item 6,
Yep, I make a motion to take up item 6 off the agenda, or off the table.
second? All in favor? Aye. Item 6 was filed by Counselor McGee, that the Chief of Police, DPW, and Board of Health Director be invited to come before the Public Safety Committee to discuss and/or provide a safety plan on dealing with needles found by constituents. Several constituents have expressed concern that there is no procedure in place to deal with the proper and safe disposal of needles when needles are found on sidewalks or in park areas. The reason we asked you to come in is because in the past, representatives from the police department and DPW did come in on this issue, but I think for some reason you were away or maybe you were out. I don't really know, but
I thought we dealt with this before.
We
dealt
did.
with this before.
This is
We
like
did.
deja vu for
but
me.
we dealt with it.
Yeah,
Numerous
you were here.
times. Yeah. I was here Liz was sitting here and I was sitting
This is
there.
the same order, I think.
It
you
is.
think
It was
this-
from Todd.
This is 10.
Do you think
think it's
this is the
redundant.
same
13.
order or an older order that
years ago.
was
113.
sitting in the jacket? You know what may have happened, Brian? There may have been a newer order filed, and I've been trying to clean everything old out of the jacket. So
think it's
it may
old.
be that this order was even older than the one that actually was addressed.
So I make a
And what
motion.
was it, about 6 months ago, would you
Yeah.
say?
Within the year.
This is 10-113. This,
Well, right, this is a very old order that was probably sitting in the jacket when I, got the committee, I don't know. But, in any event, is there anything new to add to this? Because I'm still getting complaints about needles here, there, and everywhere.
We, on our website, the Board of Health website, there's a tapestry section there, and there's a link to them with the hotline number. I'm trying to get it on our front page. The hotline pickup needle. And I gave that number out. I could give it out again. It's 650-2679. And Liz explained how it worked that night we were here.
And Tapestry has been in,
That's Tapestry. Liz, why not?
Oh,
She's
okay.
the director. And when we get a call, we refer them to Tapestry with this number. And I don't remember the last time any of us in my office picked up a needle. We're willing to go out there if we get a call. I have. Katie has, Ernie has, but we haven't gotten any calls. The calls we get, they go down there.
all right.
And I don't know who your constituents are that are complaining and don't know. They could call me. And I'll give them the number.
Well,
So that's 413-650-2679.
That's the Tapestry hotline to pick up needles.
no, I'm fine with giving them that number. They're the ones giving them out. They should be picking them up.
But some people are saying that they can't contact, they have no contact numbers, or what are they saying?
Well, the problem I have with Tapestry is they're giving these things out during the week. And then on the weekend, they're saying there's a drop-off. Their statistics don't really tie out with what they say they're giving out and what they're collecting back. They give out more than they get back, and there's no accountability on the program at all. And then magically, it's sort of like Counselor Jordan said, so what, on Friday you get an extra pack because they're closed on the weekend? It's really, like, if it's a critical program, it needs to be available 7 days, not Monday through Friday. But there's a lot of problems with the program, from the beginning to the end in terms of education, getting people hooked into treatment and everything else. And when I've asked them questions on preventing illness, spread of communicable disease, they have no stats, no nothing. Because every single thing is by report. There's not any statistical data other than the report of the people going and getting the needles from what they brought in and shared with us. But, so for our purposes, it's just to clarify, your role is referring back to them, and there's those of us who still say,
A few of us will go pick it up but we haven't had that call in a long time.
well, no, and I'm not even looking for the Department of Public Health to do that, from my point of view, and I'm not
We're gonna
sure.
pick up the parks. They're responsible for the parks, and they have a safety guy there that can do that.
Right.
It's DPW.
DPW
They're
did,
responsible for city property and the parks. And I think they just call Tapestry themselves. I'm not sure how it's working.
Kiosks, though,
We have one kiosk left.
there might be someone.
Well, no. Go ahead.
Can I grab this then? There might be someone in the audience that could even speak to this, but the statute basically was like, the police departments and the fire departments are gonna have the kiosks, are gonna have the drop-off centers for any needles that wish to be dropped off.
There's a kiosk at the Council on Aging. There was one at the DPW. It was buried, and we lost funding for it,
All right?
so that's gone. But Tapestry's has
Isn't there
it.
one right out here in
Yeah.
Health Center? Or in this Health Center?
Health Center has one, and Tapestry has one.
No, now let me just,
And then we fund one. The city funds one.
but now, isn't that considered hazardous materials, hazardous waste? Are you authorized to transport, in your own vehicles? Nobody's driving a city vehicle, probably except Johnny Weir. Are you authorized to take hazardous material in one of them red containers because you're picking needles, dirty needles off the street up? Again, I think
Never
that we're.
thought about that.
Right, again, I just think that
I know
you're,
fire-
you know what the job that you guys do up there. It's a daunting task, and it's a wide array of jobs that you have to do. It's like, I'm just nervous that we're just, everything that ever comes up that's new, just like, we're driving anthrax samples down from the Holyoke High School down to Boston in the cruisers, because, hey, as soon as you say the word health, it fell on the Board of Health's back to do it. So then all of a sudden, we got in the MRCs, the LEPCs, all this biohazardous stuff that you guys got into, which is, again, I think refer them to Tapestry Health. Let them do it. They're giving them out. Let them
That's what we've
collect
been
them.
doing.
The
Is there
problem is,
anybody-
with Tapestry, I asked the lady, can I go in and get some needles? She's, well, yeah. I says, is there any red tape or anything? Well, you come in and we'll talk to you for a few minutes, give you some counseling, then we'll give you 6 needles to travel, just like that. No questions asked. There's no control there, none, And you guys gotta pick them up, or somebody's gotta pick them up, That's just not right, But that's on them. That's on Tapestry. They should have somebody available on a weekend and go out there and pick these needles up.
So other than that, I can't speak to Counselor McGee's intent on this, but I do think he filed this before the one that you came in on later. So I have a feeling there were two
Oh, yeah?
separately filed orders, and,
Looks almost the exact same as the other one.
yeah. So anyway, if, in case it's just a paperwork thing, and there's nothing new to add, I'll accept a motion that it's complied with. All in favor?
All right.
Yeah. You got a minute?
I try to keep the jacket clean, Brian, so every once in a while, things get refiled, and it is definitely a redo. If this was, I apologize, but
Okay.
thanks for coming in. Right. Well, at least we had 2 orders, not just one, so you weren't here just for that.
Katie?
So thank you for coming down and updating us,
You're welcome.
and I'm glad you're feeling better.
15 pounds.
Whoa,
12 days.
good.
Boy, Daddy.
All right.
You do look better.
I mean, I'm not saying you look good, you look bad.
Have a good one.
You good, buddy, yeah.
So a motion to adjourn is in order?
Can't argue that one.
All in favor?
No debating that one.
Meeting is adjourned,
Let's go get dinner.
7:38. Thank you.
Running an efficient meeting.